We seem to be leaving on your mind a taste of how the conversation is going to pound out like today. Don't forget, we spoke about having two threads of conversation, one on the arson attacks on Enugu INEC office, basically looking at the Igboeze North local government area of Enugu. Discussing this with me, starting from my immediate left, I have a political economist and a social media influencer, and he is Ibrahim Momo. Thanks for joining me always, Ibrahim.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
And next to him is a lecturer at the University of Benin, and of course, the Department of Political Science, and a political scientist at that, Neville Obakedo. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers and listeners at home.
Well, the ugly incident that occurred on Sunday night, close to midnight, on the Enugu INEC office, is really leaving a lot to explain. And we've always looked at ways to fight back all of these issues from happening again, but that seemed to be like a recurring decima. Now, how do you take the development that occurred in this regard as per the arson attack? Ibrahim.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Let me say that what we are seeing increasingly from violent non-state actors is the attack on soft targets. It's the disruption of public peace and the destruction of lives and property of those parts of the state that ordinarily you would not expect attacks to go to. We see this because one of the things violent non-state actors relish is their splashing on the news. It's something of, in a local government in Igboeze North in this instance. Earlier on, about 9 months ago, it was Igboeze South, the same INEC.
Yes.
It becomes a national and indeed international issue. And it's the fact that it is INEC. This is the fourth office in Enugu, fourth local government office in Enugu that has been attacked in the last 1 year. What that speaks to is the fact that it's an attempt by the perpetrators to hit at the very heart of the people's will, or the people's ability to choose their leaders. You see, for society to progress, for every society to grow, there has to be leaders. And the process in which those leaders are selected oftentimes goes a long way to determine how effective, how functional, how productive the leadership is.
Okay. And
the best way to choose leaders is through the popular will, popular franchise, majority choice. So INEC is uniquely placed as that electoral umpire whose role is to help to drive the process, to coordinate the process of electing leaders. Okay,
but looking at the germane reason and the very sensitive role that the electoral umpire plays, and having a government that really ensures that ugly incident that happened in the past, like you said, which is all over the news, it happened earlier in Igboeze South local government, and it's happening again. One would think and believe that the government seems to be reactive, because if it happened before, what stops you from really beefing up security, in order for us not to have this ugly incident reoccurring? Because all minds are geared towards ensuring that whatever happens, be it a soft target or not, shouldn't happen again. But it keeps happening. Well,
the first thing for me is the fact that people tend to blame our security forces or security agencies. The reality is that those people are doing a yeoman job, with all due respect. Look at the figures. The Nigerian police, in all the things it does, is still less than 500,000 personnel. It's about 420,000. Now, that's the total population to cater for the security needs of over 200 million people. You don't want to do the maths.
Because we are under-policed.
if you are that could scare us if we do that. Persons for 200 million, that's one in about 400 persons, one policeman to about 400 persons.
Are you excusing the fact that they couldn't rise up to the occasion by bringing this explanation?
I'm saying that first and foremost is that the Nigerian security forces, I'm talking of the police now, 420,000. You'll be surprised that the Nigerian army, for all the ordinary which ought to be external, but is now involved in at least 27 states in Nigeria, internal security. It's supposed to be external security. The Nigerian army has less than 200,000 personnel. Now, if you look at these are startling figures. They are annoying figures. The fact that we are under securitized. And then you now add to the fact that when it comes to investment in technology for reconnaissance, for intelligence gathering, for prevention, security ordinarily is more effective when it is preventive more than reactive. But if you look at the lack of resources, the nature of our security, the population of our security forces, and the fact that it is almost like a unitary system of policing or securitization, whereby the key agencies of state in charge of security are centrally controlled. And then you now add to the fact that the state governors, with all due respect to them, are not doing enough. They collect security votes, but they are not using the security votes to secure their states. Rather, a couple of them, I've seen Benue State Governor, with all due respect to him, I've seen Ondo State Governor, making all the noise that they can make, but when it comes to actually using the security votes they are getting for securing the people, we are not seeing much work done. So it's a complex thing. The INEC is more or less a victim. It cannot do more than it is doing. It's not a duty to secure itself. Yes, we are told that the security personnel stationed there were overpowered. Of course, it was night when they attacked, on Sunday night. Now they were overpowered before they went on to do the ARSON attack. But is it INEC's business, security? It's not. INEC is about conducting free, fair, and credible elections, amongst other areas.
Okay, away from Momo now, let me come to you. From his statement, it's like the state government are not doing enough to safeguard the INEC offices in Enugu. What's your thought on that?
When we talk about attack on INEC facilities, whether in Enugu State, as we saw on March 23, 2021, when INEC office at Igboeze South was attacked, and INEC headquarters inside Enugu City was also attacked the same day by the same arsonists and hoodlums. Then, between 2019 February and March 2021, we had over 41 INEC offices that were attacked and set ablaze.
Still in Enugu State?
From that, no, across the country.
Across the country, okay.
From that time till now, the attack is on the increase. It's raised fundamental questions about the nature of governance in general and the nature of electoral governance in particular.
Okay.
One should be asking questions about why is it that INEC offices are being attacked? Apart from the fact that the offices of INEC are soft target, what are the probable reasons why INEC offices are being attacked, especially during the election period? Number one is because of the fact that INEC that is supposed to be an unbiased umpire in the electoral process is seen to be biased, and is seen to be taking sides with certain political parties and certain political elements, and those who are excluded from the process as a result of the violent nature of our society today.
But you can't give that as a reason, though you said it seems. Because if you look at it critically, don't forget we have hoodlums, we have miscreants, charlatans that could take over this opportunity to bring such disturbance. So would you say we've seen situations where miscreants take over this, and would you say that that is entirely the blame that could be given to the electoral umpire?
I've not said that INEC should be blamed solely for the reasons why INEC is being attacked. I only mention one reason, and that reason is well-founded, based on decision from the courts of competent jurisdiction, where INEC have been dragged before and judgment delivered against INEC. That explains that aspect of it.
But again, we didn't get statement from the arsonist or the hoodlums that could be the reason why they did that.
Well, you are not a police expert, you are not a security expert. Information may be available to the security about the reasons why the attack took place. But as an analyst, we can adduce certain reasons. One of them is the role that INEC is playing in the electoral process.
And this could be better called assumptions. Don't you think so?
You may call it assumption, but it's a point. It can be
or your personal opinion.
Yes. One. Number two, it can be as a result of the anger, general anger in the southeastern part of the country. I've heard people that subscribe to the view of Nnamdi Kanu in the name of IPOB, and they are saying that if Nnamdi Kanu is not released from Nigeria government detention, there will be no election. And so one way that election cannot take place is by destroying election material, destroying their offices, burning their equipment they are going to use to conduct election. So you can see that the frustration and the aggression that go with it in the southeastern part of the country may be one of the reasons why INEC is being attacked. But let's look away from the attack generally and go back to look at the issue of governance. Governance is divided into branches, and I've just identified electoral governance just now, which have to do with making of laws that guide the electoral process, executing the law, and interpreting the law. And we have seen, with examples that are too close for our comfort, how INEC has not lived up to its expectation. But beyond INEC, we are seeing general insecurity in the land, and beyond the attack on Igboze, not INEC office, we are seeing general insecurity in the land. The general insecurity in the land, do you still now come and blame INEC for it? In the isolates in Enugu state, are you going to blame them for arson that is taking place, or criminality that have to do with loss of life and destruction of property in other parts of the country? You go and blame the same arsonists in Enugu or in Igboze North? The answer is no. It leads us to the fact that there is general breakdown of the dividends of governance that the people are supposed to see. And unless that is addressed, we are going to see the security situation degenerating from time to time. And as Ibrahim said, that we have police and security forces not up to the percentage that is projected by the world by the United Nations. And in that case, you see that the society from the beginning is under-secured. I will give you an instance. INEC offices are part of the ungoverned spaces in Nigeria.
Okay.
They will go and put materials that can be used to determine who should lead the people without adequate security. The security is not there to be adequate. You see people, you allow people to travel on the road, carry goods and services, engaging on all kinds of businesses. And yet, 90% of the places they are going to pass is an ungoverned space where criminals now see a security gap in the state and they want to fill it by trying to make sure they engage in a lucrative business from it. Whether it now manifests in the form of banditry, whether it now manifests in the form of kidnapping, whether it manifests in the form of armed robbery and ritualism, it's a different ballgame.
All right, let's come back to Ibrahim Momo. What do you now think is the way out? Since you say we are under police and the INEC staff were overpowered actually. So what do you now think is the way out?
No, I think that what I've seen really is that we have this, in a general society, we have our blame mentality. Security is not entirely the duty or the responsibility of the security forces alone. Everybody plays a role in security. Because, for example, it's oftentimes we are seeing strange faces. We are not security conscious as a people. Generally, Nigerians are not security conscious people. You are seeing strange movements in your environment. You are seeing strange faces in your community. People are not concerned. What they are waiting for is for the attack to happen and then for them to complain. The right time to raise alarm. So the first thing I think we need to do, if I could pivot to that point, the right time to raise our alarm is when we begin to notice some strange faces in our communities. Our people have a role to play in securing their environment. It's not for you to carry weaponry, but to mainstream the issue. These days we have social media. Some of the policies that you see today, whether at the subnational or central level, are issues that have been agitated on social media, and government are taking notice.
You've said earlier that, the government should be preventive, or rather, let's say proactive, rather than being reactive. Yes. Now, if you are now leaving it in the hands of the people, though I know, though I know that also counts, But don't you see, because you were saying about the fact that Nigerians are being under-policed.
Yeah.
But don't you think that would be a defeatist perspective if you say that? Because we are supposed to have a government, you know, that is virile, that is robust, you know. We are supposed to have a security architecture that is beefed up. We are supposed to have, you know, the security police, the policeman, you know, that should have the equipment, that should have the wherewithal, you know, to place a demand on tackling all of these issues of insecurity. Now, we are not having it. Don't you think, rather than taking this perspective that I may term as a defeatist perspective, you should take rather the perspective of how government can act proactively to tackle all of this? Because this has happened before. You said it, and it's already in the news stream. It keeps happening. And not until this is dealt with by the security forces having victory, having a way to overwhelm this arsonist in court that seem to be nameless, this will continue.
Well, the question I would ask is, what is the way forward? And the way forward is not a unilateral strategy. It has to be composite. So that's the first one I'm making, is that we too have a role to play.
Okay.
Not saying that everything is entirely for the citizens. I'm a citizen of the country too. The other point I think you have made, which is very correct too, is that the security forces are not up and doing enough. Now, oftentimes we are seeing citizens agitation achieving results. If we have a Minister of Police Affairs, if we have an Inspector General of Police, if we have Commissioners of Police, if we have security votes at the presidency and of course at the state government, we have at least the kind of structure and resources that can make us improve, I think, on the level of public sector on our security situation. How much are we doing?
Okay.
No,
like even having the CCTVs.
Yeah, how much of that? How much are we doing?
Now, a friend of mine was saying that for us to have that, it means that we must have conquered the epileptic power supply we're having.
No, it doesn't follow.
It doesn't follow, because Nigeria seems to be a country that has almost the most sunshine.
Yes,
you know. So can't we use that?
You see, there's so much that can be done, but the reality is that not much is being done. There's so much that at the public sector level. You mentioned the issue of closed circuit television. It can be placed in strategic locations. It will not eradicate security, but at least it can help to identify the criminal element. A criminal element in society, once it gets away with one criminal act,
keeps doing it,
is emboldened for further acts. But if there's a way to capture identify a criminal who has, even if
and probably link it to the party, and then start dealing with the moles that seem to be in the system.
Correctly. So if you're able to get at least for every successful, apprehension of a criminal element, it reduces the threat to society, and it also sends a message that the likelihood of being caught is there. It will reduce it. The other point to make is that we may blame the security forces, but the reality we cannot underestimate is that it is currently understaffed. I am not a security personnel, but this is the reality that the staff reality we are faced with. So if it means, even paramilitary training, for citizens, we go for Nigerian graduates go for NYSC. I did my own a couple of over a decade ago, but what we see is that it is not necessarily paramilitary training. It's just exercises. There are times when and then issues of karate and the rest. So I am thinking that we can beef up our security forces in terms of numbers, in terms of equipment to perform. Government can beef up, because it's not only about having maybe one security man to one citizen, or 1 to 20 citizens.
Yes, it's not about that.
It's also about intelligence gathering.
Beautiful.
It's also about anticipating. Some of these some of the successes that you see in the West. It's about preemptive strikes. When we see this kind of movement, what does it suggest? Are they trying to regroup? Are they trying to plan attack? If we see an upsurge in the acquisition of weapons in a particular community, are we likely to see? Because the cause and the effect is not immediate. There's a time lag between when those weapons are acquired and when the crimes are perpetrated. So if government is up and doing, for example, we can identify, the security forces are up and doing, we can identify, okay, there seems to be an upsurge in movement of weapons, purchase of weapons. And then it means that in the near future, there's likely to be an attack. So if we anticipate, if we project, if we are planning, if we are anticipatory of the likely security situations in locations, then we can, in a way, help to prevent. So there are a couple of things that we can do.
So as a political expert now, what do you think is the best way to tackle issues like this?
Issues of...
also reacting to what he said, because the aspect where you seem to corroborate the story he gave about what I termed the defeatist perspective. Now, I also want your reaction on that while you attend to the question Daniel raised.
When we are talking about securing our environment, again, that is an essential aspect of governance. Because if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, in the preamble of it, it says that the purpose of government is the welfare and security of the citizens. The citizens that are scattered in the 774 local governments of Nigeria. It means that in each of these 774 local governments, there shall be a government, local government area, there shall be a government. And if there is a government, the government will be a government that will be drawn from the wards that make up the local government.
That's true.
And it means that the government shall be grassroots government, where they will now be able to know what is happening in
Reach out to the people.
Is that the case in Nigeria as we speak? Our own state here, Edo State, there's no local government in Edo State. No local government. When I say government, like we have Edo State government. The governor was elected, deputy governor was elected, legislators elected. That's a government.
You're talking about the top tier this time.
Yes. At the local government area level, there's no government.
So good.
The government that is there is an ad hoc government, an interim government.
Otherwise, this could have helped to check this.
Yes, the government that's supposed to be elected, representing all the various wards, then the local government chairman, then the supervisory councillors and the rest of them, they will be very grassroots related in the administration of the environment. That is missing in several states of the country. And that is why, as I said earlier, there's a security gap that criminal elements now cash in on to pass a message across, either to pass a message across to government or to make their own means of livelihood from that. Now, we see that there's a problem apart from the ARSON issue that brought us here about the INEC office and the rest of them. We see that in various parts of the country, we are hearing of Fulani herdsmen attacking people. We are hearing of bandits, all kinds of violent criminal elements. Then we decided to do a research on it. Part of the findings of the research as it relates to Fulani herdsmen attack is the fact that in various states, like Edo State is far away from the north, we don't have cattle owners here, but we have cattle everywhere in Edo State. And when you get closer to the herdsmen, and that's why in part of our report, we don't refer to those men that go with the cattle in the bush as herdsmen. It is the owners of the cattle that are the herdsmen. Those ones are just workers of those cattle owners. Now, they are all aware, politicians that own cattle in Edo State and other places, they are all aware that the herdsmen are killing people, or that they have people that hide under cattle rearing in the environment to kill people. Traditional rulers that have cattle across the country, they are aware of this thing. Religious leaders, whether traditional religious leaders, Islamic religious leaders, Christian religious leaders, they have cattle in Edo State and elsewhere. They are aware of what is happening. And yet, they cannot acquire land and put their cattle here so that they will not go and destroy other people's property. So when we are talking about insecurity, I say it has to do with governance. And unless we tackle the problem of governance, we cannot tackle the problem of security.
Okay.
It is true that our people are not security conscious. Security consciousness is not what you just watch television and learn. Security consciousness starts from your parents. Your parents are supposed to teach you, your environment is supposed to teach you that in this world that you have come, in the next minute, if you are not careful, you can be killed even by a neighbor or by somebody that you have never met before. You grow up with that mentality of being secured anywhere you are. The other day, my children were transiting between Edo and Lagos State, two of them. And because of what I used to tell them, when they were about to take off from the park, they gave me the information about the vehicle that they were entering.
The vehicle number?
Yes, they gave me the vehicle,
The
particular,
details,
yes,
yeah.
of the, I asked them to get the name of the driver for me. Every major place they get to, they call me.
That's an act of being proactive.
Yes, they call me that the signboard they are seeing, this is what is written on it.
So you expect government to also follow same?
Apart from government, let people,
Start from the home.
People,
imbibe this culture. Okay.
Yes. By the time you have that one,
Okay.
because it was talking about Nigeria having a population of about 240 million.
Yeah.
We don't know the population of Nigeria. We are just saying it.
Thank you.
Because
You've articulated a point.
The last time that we had population census was about 2006, and if it is about 250 million that we had that time, with the influx of non-Nigerians from Burkina Faso, from Central African Republic, from Niger Republic, from Senegal, from all kinds of places in this country, they should be close to 100 million themselves.
Thank you, Nebula Bakedo. You've articulated a point. Let's allow your points you've aired. Let's allow your points you ventilated, Neville, to settle on the minds of the viewers while we ask Ibrahim the next question. Now, what has happened. And we have reports that said that about 748 ballot boxes were destroyed in the process. Furnitures in the INEC office destroyed. Then we have 240 voting cubicles also destroyed. Then we also have the uncollected PVCs in the fireproof cabinets, which I believe since they are in the fireproof cabinets, they won't be destroyed. Now, what do you think this development will do to affect the voting public or to affect the fairness of the electoral process?
Well, a couple of challenges this ARSON attack does. The first thing is that it rolls back some of the gains. There is no way, for example, the number over 748
ballot boxes
were destroyed. Those have to be replaced. In fact, INEC recently created new polling units across the country. New polling units. For example, in the ward I am, there used to be 23 polling units in Ward 10 in Enugu. There used to be 23 polling units. Now it is now 75. More than, almost triple, the number of polling units have been created. So what I want to suggest is that even the ones they had, go for the next election will be inadequate. Now the few ones that are already inadequate have now been destroyed. First of all, the resources that we do not have. Nigeria is complaining, our citizens are complaining that government is not effective in provision of the public goods. What we expect from government is not doing. Now the one the government is managing to do
have been destroyed. Which now have to be replaced. The resources that are not there, that were scarce originally, are now scarcer, if I could use the concept. They are now more scarce than it were before. You're not going to redeploy if you were having money, because elections must hold. Must.
It has to hold. In fact, the reality is that even those who want to hold power, no matter what happens, elections will hold. In Anambra, just before the last gubernatorial election, there were hue and cry, hula baloo. But a day or two to the election, even those violent non-state actors were settled by those who were seeking political office, and elections held peacefully, largely peacefully. It was only in one part of local government, in one ward in local government, that we had a reported incident, and that election was cancelled. In one ward in the entire in the entire state, which tells you that there's what I like to know, elections will hold. So we are seeing that first of all, the things that are not there are now going to be redeployed from other more maybe health or education or whatever to our environment to elections. Provision of election material.
Yes, and we also hope that the uncollected PVCs won't be affected.
Now what we heard from Senator Okoye was that they hope that the PVCs and the BVAS and other machines that
yes. Because it's happening at the middle of the continuous voter registration. Yes, that's a basic challenge.
And if I have proof, but we have not gotten the report post assessment.
Yes, to see if they are safe.
They were not impacted.
Okay.
And I doubt if they were not impacted. So you can imagine just that local government, the billions, not millions, the billions that have been wasted. Okay. The billions that have been wasted. So